Listen up. Let's go, let's go.
Welcome to Trojans Live, the exclusive USC Trojans coaches show.
Snap back to Caleb. He'll run it himself to the 10. Down to the 5. He's going to go. Touchdown!
With behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold.
Ellis comes to the right wing 4 seconds to go. Boogie at the free throw line for the win. He buries it. Boogie Ellis set the buzzer.
Trojans Live is presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Now, live from Los Angeles, here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Max Brown.
Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy on AM 790 KBC and across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the associate head coach, Dennis Simmons, joins us now. Coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Thank you to Coach Simmons for sitting down with us. It's been a few weeks since we talked to you, Coach. What were sort of your reflections, your thoughts on the way the last month went down, and just not being able to get over the hump in those some of those games?
I mean, as everybody, it's disappointing. You had a couple of things that happened in that game or in the various games where breaks didn't go your way, so you're obviously disappointed about that. But I mean, after, the Thanksgiving break, you kind of take a step back and then you kind of reflect on it and look at, what you have ahead, going ahead. And, I'm still a firm believer that our future is still bright here.
Coach, you mentioned a holiday break there. You get to watch some football. What was your off week like? A little recruiting, a little football? What was going on?
A lot of recruiting, a lot of doing what my wife told me to do. And,
there you go. When you have this, month stretch, and I guess in our case it's more like 5 weeks of, you're not having a game right in front of you and you have the ball prep and whatnot. What kind of advantage is that for maybe the younger guys on the team and some of the younger receivers to either step up in this stretch? I always viewed it as kind of like a second spring ball almost to get that momentum going in the offseason. How does the receiver room approach it?
Well, I mean, it gives us a chance to take a step back and work on some of the things in our craft that you don't necessarily get the time to do throughout a regular week because you're not installing new plays or, focusing on a certain type of defense or anything. So it give you the opportunity to get back to the basics and work on some of your fundamental stuff, which we got a chance to do that today. And then it also gives those guys, your younger guys, may not get as much game time. It gives them opportunity to get some extra reps against your ones and get an opportunity to work with the ones on offense.
You mentioned recruiting. What's your process this time of year? Are you entirely focused on high school kids and that sort of push towards signing day? Are you scouting people as the sort of portal announcements come up? What does that balance look like this day and age?
It's really all of the above in this day and age. I mean, you're having to constantly recruit the guys that's on your roster because you don't want them to leave. Then you're evaluating and trying to sign a class as well as, trying to, project and fill pieces of the puzzle with the portal with guys that may go in, and then, trying to get all of it done at once. So I mean, it's time consuming. The biggest thing here is you don't want to just bring a guy into your program to be in your program. You want to make sure you're finding that right person and that right fit. So I mean, where there's talented guys that's out there. I mean, it's a process.
Coach, I'm sure you haven't done a full assessment of the season yet. You guys got a bowl game left, and you'll probably get to break it down all over. But what's your kind of take on the years in your group, in your room, and how they played this year, and what you expect from them?
There's some things that we did extremely well, and there's some things that we didn't do as well as we did last year. Obviously, you start back, with, making your presence known and having a physical stamp on the perimeter. At times I thought we did well at that. At times I didn't think we played as well in that area. So we got to shore that up and become more consistent there. I thought we did some good things with the ball after the catch. So that was a plus. I thought we did a pretty decent job on the competitive catch aspect of it. So that was a plus. There were some times where, coming out of the top of our breaks and some routes on some comebacks and on some curls, I thought we gave the quarterback a little bit of a mixed message. So, there's something, that we got to clean up.
Dude, I'm really excited about in the future is Deuce Robinson, and obviously played a lot of outside receiver for us this year. Came in as a tight end. I'm intrigued to see, we all know how, that year 1 to year 2, the jump that dudes can make physically and whatnot, and how that's utilized. I guess, how do you see Deuce's future here in terms of his specific position usage, and also like tight end wise? You're a man of many titles. You have the pass game coordinator as well. Is the vision to have the tight end more involved in the offense moving forward, or is it status quo with the usage that we had with Lake McCree this year?
Oh, I mean, you got Lake there, and then you got some tremendous young talent. Cade comes to mind. I mean, you got Tabo. You got some guys in that room that could do it. Deuce is a receiver, though. So, I mean, we will continue to use him on the outside as a wide receiver. That's, one of the things that I think, he has a future for. Now, with that being said, do we expect him to get stronger, get faster? Yeah, and I just think that'll make him a better receiver. A lot of the things you're talking about, looking in the future, a lot of the steps you would hope he will make from his first year to next year, some of the same things that you saw in Rice from last year to this year.
You're listening to Dennis Simmons on Trojans Live. We're sitting here inside a room in Heritage Hall. There's just a little inside baseball. There's a TV in the back, and we always have Monday Night Football on, and Jordan Addison is playing right now, which is Coach Riley always gets to sit here and watch his quarterbacks play in the NFL, so you get to sit here and watch your receivers play, which is nice. Taj Washington, I'm curious, to get him on that TV, what are your conversations like with him all season in terms of trying to project him to that next level, things he needs to work on, and now that he enters that process, how does he get to that point where he's making one of these rosters and making plays on Mondays?
Well, I could tell you this: if Taj just got to get his foot in the door, because if Taj gets his foot in the door, whether that be draft, whether that be free agent, however it shakes out, which I think he will get drafted, every NFL GM and organization is going to love him. Because, he brings so much added value. I mean, the kid could do everything on special teams. And it's not just doing it with the ball. I mean, you saw him be a gunner on the perimeter going down for punts. You saw him be a jammer, hold up on punt returns. You saw him in the back end as an off returner. So, he gives you so much diversity and brings so much value to your organization. It'll be hard for them not to want to keep Taj in the building.
Coach, announcements have been made with Caleb Williams, quarterback, and going to the bowl game, and next year we'll find out. What's that transition like for the wide receiver group when they go from one quarterback possibly to another quarterback and getting used to another guy?
It's no different than practice. When he's not taking the reps, some other guy is. So, they're catching balls from all of those guys. And it's, that's something that they work throughout the year, throughout the summer, catching balls from not just, Caleb, from Miller, from Jake, from Malachi. That's – if whoever's back there, we got a job to do, and we're going to do our job. And we're going to put our best foot forward to make whoever's back there as comfortable and as successful as they possibly could be. So, that's never really been –
see ball, catch ball.
See ball, catch ball.
Simple. There you go. We talked about the transfer portal, and we've talked about it many times with Coach Riley, like how quickly those decisions have to happen and how quickly that window happens. It could be a matter of 24 hours or 2 days. What is that process like for you when you are evaluating offensive players? Is it tapping into old coaching relationships and vetting guys that way, tapping into high school coaches? Like, what does that look like?
Well, it's not just, identifying a talented player is the easy part. You got to be able to get into USC. So, that's a huge hurdle. You hear so-and-so entered the portal and everybody gets excited. Well, yeah, that may be great, but, there's variables and there's factors that, okay, can that kid get into school here?
Do you get access to the grades right away?
Yeah, well, it's not just the grades, how many credit hours they have. Having a degree from USC, you have to have so many hours that you've taken as a student here. So if a kid is in the latter part of his college career, we may want him, but it may not be an option for us.
Complicated business recruiting now. Coach Simmons right in the middle of it for USC in a busy time of year in that regard. There's a bowl game coming up. We just don't know which one. We'll know this time next week, and we'll talk about that then. Thank you so much, Coach. Hey, we got a big show ahead. JuJu Watkins, the talk of women's basketball, is coming up. Kobe Johnson, captain for USC men's basketball. Bailey Shoemaker of women's golf. We got big stuff coming up. Stay with us. You're listening to Trojans Live.
It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football, AM 790 KABC.
Trojans Live is brought to you by Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the beast. And the best in the game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. The best in the game right now is JuJu Watkins. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown. JuJu makes her Trojans Live debut, but she's already made her debut on the hardwood here. USC women's basketball, #1 recruit in the country, and back-to-back freshman of the week. You gonna let somebody else win one at some point? This is starting to get awkward a little bit.
Oh man, we've been taking dubs, so really that helps a lot with getting that type of recognition for freshman of the week. So just continuing to do that.
JuJu, obviously the expectations of you coming here were through the roof, and you've lived up to the hype. What is it like in that process when the expectations feel so high, but you've come in here and still just balled out and done your thing? Like, did you worry about those expectations?
No, never. I mean, I have expectations for myself, but I don't really listen to other people's expectations. I think all that matters is how I approach the game, how I think I should do, and stuff like that.
I feel like every single article or video that I see, whether it's even from your head coach, it's always about your work ethic. Where does that stem from? I mean, so often we see talented players, but you don't always see or hear the comments of, oh, they're a really hard worker. Where does that stem from for you?
Man, I don't know. I think just seeing the product of the work really that satisfies me and pushes me to work harder. I think just working out and seeing how it translates into games and how much more in rhythm I am after a good workout. So yeah, that drives my passion behind the game, just making sure that I'm always in the gym and it'll show on the court for sure.
Well, tell us your story a little bit, because we at USC would love to take credit for everything you're doing here, but you showed up like this. You built a little bit different. But Sean's got daughters. I've got a daughter. Max is he's married to an athlete. So just give me the secrets to what give me one secret to developing. What was it? Your parents? Was it a coach at a young age? How did you get so good so quick?
Well, I just want to say kudos to you guys for being girl dads.
Oh, hey, 100%.
That's a big deal.
100%.
But yeah, I think my dad played a large role in my life in becoming an athlete. He's actually trained me, and he still does. He helps me work on my shot and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely have a village behind me, family that supports me, and they'll support me no matter what I do, as long as I love what I'm doing. So I'm grateful to have their support, and honestly, I wouldn't be here without it.
Talk about the all-encompassing experience here at USC. Obviously, the basketball is one portion of it, but obviously the whole. We just talked about tutoring. A lot of this stuff goes into it that people don't get to see. They see the product on the court, and there's a whole thing you got to do. How's the student life been at USC so far?
It's tough. Definitely a great education here, and a lot goes into that. But just to know you have so much support on and off the court here at USC, I honestly believe it's the best school ever, and I've only been here a couple months, so so much support, so much love, and I just love the environment here, honestly.
You're the first female athlete to sign with Clutch Sports, a high-profile agency, which is amazing. Congrats on that. And I recently saw that when you look at the highest earners amongst all student athletes in the NIL space, 3 of the top 5 are women's basketball players, which is amazing. Does that inspire you to activate the NIL side of your business? And how is that whole side going for you, just being at SC and being a high-profile player like you are?
We're in LA. This is the place to be when it comes to opportunity and relationships. So I'm glad to be here. I think NIL is definitely a positive thing, and it motivates people to want to work harder at all stages, no matter pro. Now we get to experience that type of lifestyle in college, just working hard and being able to reap the benefits of that. Yep. And it's honestly, I've always loved basketball and wanted to push myself to be the greatest, just because I have that standard for myself. But now that NIL, I think, is involved, it's just fueled that even more. So I'm just grateful to be here in this space and time in college basketball and just enjoying it.
You're listening to JuJu Watkins, the story of college basketball so far in this young season. And JuJu, not just NIL, you're building this stage for yourself. Your basketball and your talent is building this stage. How do you want to use that stage? I know you have so many aspirations that are just, beyond just basketball.
Yeah, honestly, I think just being in the position I am now, I think community plays a large role in what I do, and it pushes me to go even harder. So I always represent where I come from, making sure that I'm giving back to my community and in certain things that I do. So I think that's a big drive for me.
Obviously, some highlights already this season, but I saw you hit a half-court shot. Walk us through that one. You got that one in the bag already? That's part of the toolkit already?
I guess.
Popping off half-court shots?
Guess. Yeah, that was kind of a Hail Mary type play. I'm not going to lie. I remember.
No glass either, right? No glass? That was
no
straight.
glass. That was straight.
Woo, butter.
Water right there.
Water.
Yeah, that was water.
One of probably the only things basketball related that we have in common is our favorite player is LeBron James, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What part of LeBron's game do you try to incorporate in your game?
He's great, just being great and striving to be great every day, every year, every time I step on the court, just like you said, strive for greatness. So that's definitely what I plan on doing.
Well, USC women's basketball has moved up to number 6 in the rankings as of today. That is the best ranking in 29 years.
That's crazy.
That's making an immediate impact for sure. The 29 years dates back, not coincidentally, to Lisa Leslie, era, and that's sort of been the goal, right? Get back to that time, and then obviously go forward from here and create your guys' own legacy. But what's the conversation been like, with your teammates in what this team is capable of?
Honestly, it's exciting, but any team knows that this is very early in the season, and just to continue working so that we're even higher when it comes to March Madness and when it comes to the end of the season. So just making sure that we're working, not really paying attention to what ranking we are, just making sure that we're ready for our next opponent.
As a young player, I remember, when I played as a young player, it's hard to come across as that leadership role, right? It's hard to be out there and be like, all right, I want to be a leader on this team. How did you create that role for yourself early in the process when there's some older players on the team that maybe this young player can do something? Is it just the way you play, or is it something that leadership skills always been built?
Honestly, I would say this team, I'm surrounded by a bunch of leaders, and just being a rookie, I'm a sponge under all these great players, just learning from each and every one of them, picking from them and things they tell me. So honestly, just coming in, being new, is just honestly do what I do. I think that's what Coach trusts me to do and my teammates trust me to do. And yeah, I'm surrounded by so many leaders that I'm just all taking it up so that when future years come, I can adapt more of that leadership role.
Have we reached a point where teams start putting two defenders on you yet?
I'm getting there.
You're getting there?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting there. We've been working on that in practice. So.
That's crazy. I'm sure you got that all the time in high school, right?
Yeah, in high school, yeah.
That's crazy. Got to get to a game. Got to check it out.
Yeah, we're getting
to you guys got to come to a game.
I will be there for sure. The next two opportunities, just so everyone knows, one's tomorrow against Cal Poly.
Be there or be square.
That's right, 7 o'clock tomorrow. And then San Diego on Sunday is a good one to bring the family to. I believe that's a 3 p.m. tip on Sunday. So get to usctrojans.com/tickets. USC women's basketball is all the rage right now, and JuJu Watkins is a major reason why. Football Roundtable is next. Stay with us on Trojans Live.
Because Trojans Live is back exclusively on your home for Trojans football, AM 790 KABC.
Back on Trojans Live, sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. And hey, Trojan fan, did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons, and you can earn fuel points too? Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's proud partner of USC Athletics. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, Keely Yore for this week's football roundtable. Stuck in the middle of the show here, and the Pac-12 is over, sort of. I mean, I guess there's a championship game, but there was lots of sad videos posted on the internet, and so it's pretty crazy that this era's over and the championship game is two Big Ten teams, technically, I guess, in Oregon and Washington coming up. But before I get into that game, I wanted to get your guys what was your surprise of the season? I was going back and watching some of our earlier shows from this year.
Oh, wow.
I was looking at a lot of the over-unders to see how right we were or wrong we were.
How bad was it, Jordan?
Well, one of the things that we all got wrong was we all said that there would not be an undefeated Pac-12 regular season champ.
Oh,
And
right.
there was for the
We
first
also had
time
the
ever.
bowl game over under, or the ranked teams at the end of the year. I
Way
remember
off.
that one. Really?
What did we say
are
for
we
that?
at?
Do you know?
Over-under for that one was 6 ranked teams at the end of the year. I believe as of now there are 4.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure.
You said
think-
under.
I
You
said
said
under.
under.
What did I
under.
say? Do you know?
You said under. I do have them all written down.
think I was
you
alone-
said under.
lone-
I think you said under also because you just were like, Max knows Pac-12. I'm going to stick with him.
Am I wrong?
Sean said over. Sean said
I
over.
remember that one because we're like, we're going to check the footage at the end of the
Yeah.
season.
No, I
And
got
so
it
it's
all.
been-
I was
yeah.
Okay.
I can bring out the rest next week. But what surprised you this Pac-12 season?
The USC Trojans. Seriously, I mean, you go down the list. I was expecting us to be playing this Friday, and we came nowhere close to that. And I think we are the big surprise of this football season.
Yeah, I think that's a good decision. I thought Arizona. I mean, surprise. If we're talking teams, I think
Yeah.
Arizona was Max.
Not a
that
surprise
was
to
my
Max.
call.
Max was on that. Max was on that early Arizona team, but yeah, Jeff Fish has done a great job. I think creating something down there, and they're a team that has got the thing rolling in the right direction right now.
Maybe Arizona's defense, if we go more specific, but to go off of Max, maybe Caleb Williams' trajectory. I thought he'd pick up on where he left off, and I felt like it was a different version of Caleb Williams that we saw. Now, there are many variables to that, and I don't think that's maybe fair of me to say that, but I definitely was expecting more from, I guess, this USC offense this season.
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean, ultimately, it's like a lot of the stats were there, and I just think when the wins and losses aren't there, that's the context that everything gets put in for sure. But they were there for Oregon and Washington. Those are the two teams to represent. The league didn't really cannibalize itself. I mean, I guess maybe that's the most surprising thing is that there never really was an upset the whole season. Oregon only had one loss. It was to Washington, and by whatever it was, a point or something like that in a great game. And Washington survived some close games. Oregon pretty much hammered everybody. So they separated. They're clearly the two best teams. Who's going to win the game?
I think Oregon this time around. I don't feel like Washington has been a strong enough opponent towards the end of the season. It just doesn't seem like that to me.
I feel like everyone's saying Oregon, so then by default, I lean Huskies in this. Oregon's clearly playing better, but
Oregon's a 9-point favorite last I saw.
Yeah, and I think the whole talking point of it's so hard to beat a team twice. Well, that applies when you're the favorite on the second time around. That's not the case. I get the sense that the Huskies are pissed off and they'll rally and get this one.
Yeah, I don't. 9 points seems like a lot, especially you watch Washington and they're in every game and they make it tight, but they find a way to hang in there and pull out wins. So I wouldn't count them out in this one. I think 9 points sounds crazy to me.
I like Oregon big.
Big.
Ooh, big.
Big. Yeah, they've been hammering people, and Washington reminds me a little bit of USC last year. And to be honest, USC last year, probably could have won that Pac-12 championship game if Caleb Williams doesn't get hurt. But I don't think Washington has figured it all out yet in the way that Oregon has. Oregon is a complete football team. Washington, to me, feels like a work in progress that's kind of covered up by the fact they have a great quarterback and great receivers.
Yeah.
Margin of victory is not insignificant this weekend too, because style points are going to be on the line with the chaos that could ensue if there's upsets, or even if there's not upsets of the who is that fourth team in, third team in, and if it is a tight game, if it is down to the wire, if it is an overtime finish, there is a world where both two teams get in there.
Yeah, they'd have to have some real chaos. What's crazy is we talked about that there wasn't really cannibalization of the Pac-12. There wasn't really any in college football this year. This is one of the most chalk years that you'll ever see. And I actually think we were talking about this before. I think it's going to make the committee's job the hardest maybe it's ever been, because I think you're going to end up with an undefeated team being compared to a one-loss team that you think the one-loss team is better, but are we really leaving undefeated teams out of a playoff now? I mean, that's a much more difficult thing than being like, hey, everyone's lost, so now we just get to pick based on who we think is good. It's hard to leave an undefeated team out. There is a world though where Florida State goes 13-0, but they don't have their best player, and they didn't really beat a whole lot of people, but you really going to leave them at home?
Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, I pulled from this weekend. I thought Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, just a two amazing teams going at it head to head, and that's something we got to look forward to. There's a lot of work that needs to go into USC football to start challenging for championships in the Big Ten. That was pretty eye opening for me.
Yeah.
And so often in college football, the past 6-8 years, it's been Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State sprinkled in there. And, like, that's it. And this season shows what hopefully the future of our game is, where, hey, in November, mid-November, there's a dozen teams that legitimately look themselves in the locker room thinking we got a chance to make a run at this thing, which I think makes the game better. And with us heading to the Big Ten, that's certainly going to be the case because there's 18 teams in there vying for a championship. So hopefully it's a sign for more exciting football ahead.
And it's a good thing that the playoff is expanding. The last year 4
That's
because
the biggest thing.
Yeah, now, because if you apply that scenario to next year, what you're just talking about, Jordan, I think it's a much easier scenario for the committee than right now.
All those teams are in, and then there's a lot of other, people are battling for a bye and home field advantage and those kind of things.
Yeah.
That are going to become a factor for sure. What are you going to miss? What are you going to miss most about the Pac-12? This is, we're done with it, and it has one more game. But what are you guys going to miss about the league?
You're talking to a Northwest dude, so I'm going to miss those rivalries. I mean, the Apple Cup's going to continue on, but the stakes will never be the same. We'll see what happens with the Civil War and just all the old school rivalries. Even like, it feels like Arizona State would always get up to play us. We're not going to play them in the near future. Utah and USC, we were a budding rivalry if we, continued this for a decade, and that's no more. So I'm going to miss those rivalry matchups.
I think half and half, like half the grittiness and half like the meme culture, like the fact that there won't be like
after dark
Pac-12 after
Pac-12
dark
refs and all these things.
It was like it was there's so much tradition in this conference, but there's also so much silliness in this conference that I enjoyed over the course of however many years that the Pac-12 has been around, and I don't know, I'm gonna miss it. It's weird.
I think just West Coast football, I guess, the version of it that I played in when, it was pretty strong up and down the board. And then that's kind of going away. Obviously, we're, traveling with some teams to the Big Ten. But, West Coast football, I guess, kind of taking a step down, I guess, and not being really a relevant thing when we have to travel across the country to play football, I guess.
Who's your Heisman pick?
Whoever wins Friday.
Really?
That quarterback will win the Heisman.
I want to say more. I don't know.
Voting already opened though, which is weird.
It's the worst thing. That's a joke. I'm sorry.
It is.
I would
ridiculous.
I think it's going to be Bo Nix. I think they're going to win on Friday, and I think it's going to be Bo Nix. I would like us to get to a point, though, and I feel like baseball is there, but a lot of the other sports are lagging behind, where we make decisions other than the quarterback on the best team.
Yeah.
Like wins and losses is just too heavily favored in an award that is given to the best player. And it leads to things like the guy ends up not being an NFL player at all. I mean, this is like, the Danny Werfels of the world and the Jason Whites. And, we've seen a million of these in college. And I get it. We want to reward winning and all that. But, they have found metrics in other sports where you're like, oh, win-loss record is not the most important thing in baseball anymore. But
luckily, this is a season where the quarterbacks on the most winning teams are playing at an elite level. The years where it was, I'll always remember the Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry year, where that was like the default Derrick Henry happened to have 20 rushing touchdowns. Like that year to me was more upsetting than the default quarterback Heisman get.
All right, well, enough of that. We're going to get back to hoops here in a little bit. Kobe Johnson is going to join us next. Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the beast and fight on. Trojans to fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Our guy Kobe, the captain of USC men's basketball, is next on Trojans Live.
It's like getting a degree in Trojan athletics without the tuition. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football, AM 790 KABC.
When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired, imported from San Diego, located near you at find.stonebrewing.com. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, our guy Kobe Johnson joins us now. One of our favorites, averaging 15 points a game, 5 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals, just getting started in his junior season here at USC. Kobe, that was a tough one on Friday, man. I did not walk away feeling great about that. How are you processing it? Trojans lose one at the buzzer.
Obviously, me and the rest of the team aren't taking that too lightly either, but we got to live with it, and we got to move on. We got a huge 2 games coming up this week, so we got to lock in, fix all the little details, and we got to come ready to play these next 2 games.
Kobe, Jordan mentions the stat, but when I watch you guys play, I think that more than anything, I know your physical approach to the game. You're out there. You're like, I like the manner you play the basketball. You're in there being physical. Where does that come from? That you've always been that kind of player, or is that something that the role you need to play on this team?
Yeah, I think that just came from being the youngest brother. I have 2 older brothers, so just growing up, I was always just being competitive with them. Always, I lost a lot, and I had to learn from that. I did a lot of crying, but I think that built me into the person I am today. So I think I just carry that competitive spirit with me into every game I play, and I just play my heart out.
When I was looking at the schedule, it's next to every matchup, it was like ESPN or Fox, ESPN, Fox, and you've been here a couple years. Do you feel that added expectation, that added energy, that added buzz around the program? And, what's the trade-off there? Obviously, it's exciting because I'm sure it allows guys to get up, but then it's also, maybe brings about some distractions and having to deal with those expectations. How have you approached that as a leader on this team?
No, obviously, it's a lot of kids' dreams to be able to play on ESPN and all those big-time networks. So just being able to play on those programs, it's a huge blessing. But again, we got to stay locked in and, stay true to what we need to focus on. So just staying true to each other and just trying to win every game.
Sean was talking about your defensive prowess. I mentioned 3 steals a game, and I talk about it all the time on the broadcast. I would love to get inside your head, because it just feels like so often you have an idea of where the play is going defensively. I mean, I imagine part of that's film study, but some of it just has to be instincts. There's a lot of guys, I'm sure, that watch film and maybe they don't trust themselves to actually go gamble and make the play, or maybe they just can't read it right. We see this in football all the time too. Is there a way to explain it, to vocalize what's happening, that you're able to jump as many passes as you do, to deflect as many balls?
Yeah, it's just instinct. I think I just always had that growing up. I was always a defensive player first. Growing up, that's what my pops always taught me. Is once you play defense, you'll always be out on the floor. So I think it's just instinct in me. I go for it and I get it. So I'm just if I go aggressive with it, I believe I'm gonna get it. So I'm just gonna go in there every time and try and get it.
With the high expectations of this team, is your guys' goals, are you thinking ahead with your goals as far as looking into, making a big March Madness run? Or is it like, we're taking this thing week by week, let's build this thing and make sure at the end of the year we're playing the right way?
Definitely. I think at the beginning of the season, we definitely had those end-of-season goals and those big-time goals that everybody talks about. But I think further into the season that we go into, I think we got to really learn about taking it step by step, game by game, because we know that we can't take any team lightly. I think we learned that these past few games. So I think just taking every game seriously and learning step by step, getting better each game, I think that will help us now and going into March.
I feel like when you ask guys their favorite players, obviously they point to the superstars, a lot of LeBrons, Kobe's, and whatnot. You're a defensive specialist, though. No, I shouldn't say specialist because I don't want to downgrade your offensive game. But when you take pride on the defensive side of the ball, is there an NBA guy that you look at defensively like, ooh, that's the dude that I want to copy his skill set?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of dudes in the NBA that are just dogs on the defensive end that you just love watching. But personally, my favorites are Jrue Holiday and Jimmy Butler. I like Jrue Holiday just because he does everything the right way, and he doesn't say anything. He just goes about his business, and he does it right. And Jimmy Butler, he brings that little swagger to it. He brings that little trash talk, that competitiveness side to it. So I have a little mixture of both of them, just trying to take away from both of them and try and use as much of it in my game.
you do like to talk. I think you're more on the Jimmy side when it comes to that. You bring an edge to this team that it needs, right? I mean, it's important to have a guy like that or guys like that. You know, we always see this with like Draymond. It's like when you play on that edge, right? You know, sometimes it could tilt too far. Is there anything, you know, where you have to check yourself sometimes, but you also know that your team needs that, right? I feel like everyone plays us and goes, oh, it's just LA. They're going to be some soft kids or whatever when they play Seton Hall. You know, they think, oh, you guys are soft. So you bring that, but is there a balance to it in your mind where you got to, hey, make sure I don't go a step too far?
Yeah, I think my balance is just making sure the refs don't see it. I think refs are starting to get my mojo with this, so I'm trying to dial it back and keep it a little undercover. But I think that's me. That's just me. I bring that competitiveness every game, and I don't plan on stopping. I mean, that's how I get into games. That's how I get going, is talking a little trash. So I try to get myself going. So.
You seem like an old school kind of player to me and I think old school basketball, I think nasty dunks, and now the new age of basketball is more 3-point shooting. Would you rather go nasty dunk on them or wet 3-pointer?
Dunk on somebody.
There you go. That's what I knew. I knew that answer was coming.
Yeah, obviously, by far.
You're from Big Ten country in Wisconsin. What do you make of the move heading to that conference after the season? You excited about it? And I guess what brought you out to LA in the first place?
No, it's definitely exciting. Just starting new at a new conference, a whole new competition, and a whole new like play style, because we're so used to the Pac-12 teams. And I think it's just fun to just get out of something and start something new. But what's the second question?
How does a dude from Wisconsin get to Southern California?
Yeah, just change the lifestyle. I wanted to get out of Wisconsin. I just wanted something new, so I thought LA was the perfect style. There's so many opportunities out here that I can create for myself, and it's just trying to build my brand as much as possible out here while I can. So I think making that jump over from Wisconsin to LA was huge in my part.
Dad's a hooper, mom's a hooper, brother's a hooper, girlfriend's a hooper. Who do you talk basketball with? Who, after the game's over, like, who do you like to break it down with?
Everybody gets a little bit of it. I'll call my parents after the game if they're not at the games. You know, I'll talk with them for a little bit. But once I get back home, it's just me and my girlfriend. We just talk about the game, break it down. She keeps it real with me, so I don't have any sugarcoating around me. So
could you handle that, Sean? If the girlfriend was breaking down game film with you?
No, I don't. I know I wouldn't handle that well. I would do that quite poor, because she'd probably tell me what I was doing wrong.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that.
No problem being honest.
I need positive affirmation, Jordan. I think you know that.
Breaking down defensive lineman leverage. That'd be amazing.
You're with an athlete, Max. Did you ever?
I'm trying to get her to watch
film?
football. I mean, I watch
Different
volleyball,
sports.
but yeah, I'm trying to have her watch more football.
All right, yours was love and volleyball, or
hey,
love and basketball over there. Still USC romances. I love it.
There we go. We started dating when we were both in a competition battle, so I guess there's what we bonded over.
All right, Kobe's got a big week. The Trojans are back at it on Wednesday at 8 o'clock tip against Eastern Washington. Get to Galen for that one. And then a showcase game that these guys were talking about, all these stages that they get to play on. USC Gonzaga on Saturday night in Las Vegas. Sounds like a pretty big stage. Kobe Johnson feeds off of that. He will be there to lead the way for the Trojans. Hey, we talked in the offseason about how many #1 players in the country joined USC this year. We already talked to one in JuJu Watkins. We have another one coming up for women's golf. Bailey Shoemaker is next on Trojans Live.
Luckily, they do it from behind the mic. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. And our Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market, open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. Bailey Shoemaker is who we are talking to now. Don't get that wrong, Sean. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, Bailey, welcome to Trojans Live. As I mentioned, #1 recruit in the country as you join women's golf, USC women's golf here. Already a great program. Great to have you on the show. You're from back east. I read Florida, but you said you actually grew up in New York. What was the deciding factor to get you to come all the way to LA?
Yeah, I always cared about like good like academic schools. And so like my dad, he would always like take the top 25 schools who did well in NCAAs, but he would only circle like the top 25 academically. So not Alabama, not a lot of schools, especially for business. And USC, like I just stepped foot on campus and I fell in love immediately. I looked at a lot of schools like Duke, Texas, UVA, and I mean, they were great, but just something about USC, it just felt like home.
Bailey, take us through your process in finding the sport of golf and how you fell in love with it and then ended up coming to USC.
Yeah, so my dad, he was a scratch golfer. He played league like 4 nights a week. And actually in New York, my uncle, he built his own golf course by hand, picked every single rock.
Whoa. Where in New York? Where in New York are we talking about?
It was upstate, so it was like Cooperstown. Okay. Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like how people know it. But yeah, super small town. There was just an insurance company and Chobani Yogurt Factory. That was it. Those were the only workers, and those were the only people who were like members at his course. And yeah, he would just play league every night, and my mom got off work at 4 and league started at 3, so I would watch him play like the first 5 holes of league, and that's how I learned rules so quickly and learned etiquette. Like I learned just how golf worked, and I loved it, and I had the bug, is like what my dad always said. Like I was just itching to like play it and like learn. So
that's awesome. And in the football world, they always say that quarterback recruiting starts really young, like you hear about middle school and whatnot. I was studying up on you, and you committed here real early, like 2019. How does that process work for a golfer that young in the stage? And it sounds like you were pretty confident in your decision early on. Like, speak to the maturity that you need to have to be able to be so forthright in that decision.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, he was so on top of it. He literally started looking at schools when I was 7. He like sent emails to the Stanford assistant coach. He's like, hey, like my daughter's pretty good. And he would like send swing videos, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. Like they would actually reply. And Andrea Gaston, the old coach here, like, yep. I did a visit with her, and I did a visit with like all the superstars on the team, like Gabby Ruffles, Amelia Garvey, and Aaliyah. Like I was friends with them on the Epson tour this past year, and like that's how young I started. And like I committed before some of our like sophomores have, Wow. Like it's crazy. We knew early on like what we wanted. We wanted like academics to match golf. Like at the end of the day, like you're still going to college to learn something. Like you might as well like get the most of it and get the most valuable degree you can. So yeah.
So when did you move to Florida?
2019, so like right before COVID in October. Yeah.
So who has the better golf courses, Florida or California? What's a better circuit?
Oh, I know. I can tell by that face.
Yeah, Florida. Why is Florida better?
Because it's Florida. I don't know. I was lucky enough to play at some good clubs in Florida, like Pelican. My old coach is there, and it's just different. It's just so different. I don't know. As our home courses are like Rolling Hills and Trump, and they like are on different continents. Like they're just not even the same golf course. And it's Bermuda grass here too. They're very similar. I just feel like there's more like courses in Florida, like per like square meter. I feel like everywhere you look, there's a golf course. Like you kind of got to drive out here.
How about your game? Let's talk about how do you approach it? I mean, you see a big guy like me, you think I drive it a ton. I'm more finesse on that golf course. I like the nice
soft hands. There's no way you're putting.
I'm a finesse player. What's your game like?
I'm a finesse player.
Okay.
I cannot hit the ball, if I'm being honest. I'm a short hitter. I rely on the putter, and I feel like that's, as my dad says, like that's where the most swag is anyway. Like people think it's cool to hit it 350 like Rory or somebody.
Put it in the hole, baby.
No, literally, like it's a lot cooler when you drain an 80-footer in like Ryder Cup. Like people are gonna get more excited about that. So.
Drive for show and putt for dough, Max.
Literally.
There you go. could tell we might be flipped these days versus the golfing data and whatnot, but that's for a different conversation. You've mentioned your dad a few times in your answers, and I feel like you see that every so often in the golf world where there's a relationship where you're really tight to your dad and the influence that that can have on your game. Just speak to that relationship and the impact that he's had in your game.
Yeah, he's been fortunate enough to work from home like since I was born, and so he would always take me out on the course like all day, and I would just watch. I would just sit there and hit balls in front of him, and like he would just place me in front with a bucket of balls, and he'd like watch me hit, and I'd turn around, watch him. I was very much so like monkey see, monkey do, and I just loved it. I just loved everything he did. It was like kind of one of those things where it's like you want to be just like dad. Like you want to do everything your parent does. And so like I just picked everything up he did so quickly, and I loved it.
So that's how he got away with the golf course. Just bring your kid, right? That's all exactly. I got to do. I'm just going to bring my daughter every time.
Good move.
Did you see Sua did that the other day? Literally tweeted out, should I bring my girls to the course? Brought them and just had him on an iPad as he went around the course. So
need him swinging the club.
So women's golf, as I mentioned, one of the best programs in this school. They were so close last year as a national runner-up. What's the conversation like in the team room about getting over the top and bringing home the big trophy this year?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of talk about WIC. They're stinging from last year, and it's good incentive. And we had a rematch at Eastlake this year, and there's a lot of talk before it, and it's like. We said this in like some of our team meetings before as well. You still have to do like to the best of your ability. Like you got to go to work every day. You got to put your head down, and you just got to grind it out every single day, like 1% better every day, and just take it piece by piece. I mean, you don't just show up and you'll be like, oh, we're better than WIC. Like we can do it. We can just beat them.
Gotta earn it.
Yeah, we got to earn it. And I mean, we've worked really hard this fall season, and I know that Justin has said that too. Like we really got to work this fall, and I mean. It wasn't the best at Windy City, but we turned it around real quick for Stanford. I mean, we were mad. We were pissed. And obviously we showed it off, and we got to work again like the following week and in our break. I mean, we played well at Stanford.
Get them, Bailey.
All right, big semester ahead. Go get that trophy. USC women's golf, always one to watch. Check usctrojans.com for more information on Bailey and the program. Want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Smart and Final. It's a free newsletter that'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. One more segment of Trojans Live to come on a Monday night.
The Huddle. From the comfort of your car. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
One final segment of Trojans Live on a Monday night. Our over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, Keely Orr. It's been our pleasure. We had some great guests tonight. My over-under is inspired by one of them. Are you ready, Sean?
Yes.
Over-under 3,000 points for JuJu Watkins in her USC career. Let me give you some context since you have no idea the context of 3,000 as Max is again trying to
Calculator.
do the math here. Here's the context, Max. Cheryl Miller scored 3,018. She's the highest scorer in USC history. But her freshman year, she averaged 20.4. JuJu's averaging 26 right now. So we are past pace, but we got a lot of games to go. Cheryl played 4 full years and won a lot of games and was very good doing it.
I'm going over. I think NIL plays a role in that too, where she'll stay.
No reason to leave.
No reason to leave. Yeah. She'll stay long enough to get it done. And if she's played 5 games so far and already has 3 30-point games, that's unheard of in the women's game.
We all got to go over. Sorry, Keely, you're going
no,
over.
No
one's
going
to go under here.
Trojans Live is a production of USC Sports Properties and Playfly Sports. Our executive producer is Drew DeHart. Our producer is Rick Cutler. Rick, who's back in the studio tonight? Herman Aguilera. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our crew. We got one more show to go this season. Follow along on our YouTube channel and hit us up on X anytime you want. Sean Cody, Max Brown, Keely Orr. I'm Jordan Moore. Fight on, everybody.
You can't spell victorious without USC.
4th and 9. This is the ball game. Takes the snap, steps up in the pocket, throws for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, USC.
Trojans Live was presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Make sure to check back in next Monday night at 7 for more Trojans Live. Exclusively on your home for all things Trojan, AM 790 KABC. And follow us on the USC Trojan Media Network. Trojans Live is an exclusive presentation of Playfly Sports on AM 790 KABC and the USC Trojan Media Network.